If you only knew what the future holds.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Katie Hendrickson. I'm one of the organizers. Also, hi to Virginia, Beth, Russell. I don't know if Julie's on, but thank you all for helping organize. So I'm about to introduce Jade and Caroline. They're both amazing. I'm so happy to have them as our keynote. You guys are so lucky to hear them speak. So thank you so much, and I'll pass it off to them.
Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen here as we get set up. Katie, are you able to help me out with that?
Yes. Let's see.
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing on this Thursday morning? Jade, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm just envisioning what this would be like in person, but I'm enjoying it the same as well. I'm doing good. Happy Thursday. Can folks hear us okay? Can people use like the reactions to indicate that you can hear us well? Okay. Awesome.
All right, great. So I will get started here. So Jade and I were talking a little bit and kind of thinking through what can we share with you, what insight can we share with you to help you as you're thinking through this ideathon. And we really wanted to kind of lean in on that first part of the word, right? Really wanted to dive in and think through, well, what is an idea? What do you do with an idea? How do you turn an idea into something that's tangible? And just to make sure I give credit where credit is due, a lot of this was inspired for me by this book called What to Do with an Idea. It's a children's book. I definitely would highly recommend you check it out if you're ever in the library or if you pass by a bookstore or anything like that. It's a great, great picture book, just really distilling the core concepts around an idea and how you can bring that into fruition. But with that general inspiration, you'll see a lot of that process sprinkled out throughout this presentation. But before we get started, I think it would be great for you to know who I am and to know who Jade is before we dive in. So my name is Caroline Karanja. I'm based out of the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I'm the CEO of Hack the Gap and 26 Letters. Both are organizations focused on addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion challenges. Hack the Gap is focused on the tech space, and our motto is that we are working to hack the inclusion gap in tech, one hackathon at a time. I often like to say that I am always somewhere sort of within the intersection of culture and technology. And what that really means is that I'm constantly thinking about how to use technology, which I view as a tool to be able to help when it comes to self-expression or getting your thoughts and ideas out there or sharing your perspective on different things and your take on different things. I really believe that the advantage that you can give your future self is understanding how you can leverage tech to build solutions, to build possibilities, to build all sorts of different things. Yeah.
All right, so my name is Jade Denson. I'm the Director of Member and Community Engagement for the Minnesota Technology Association. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about what that all means, but about me as a person first. So I love basketball. Basketball is like the thing that gets me out of bed every morning. So I referee youth sports. I played basketball in high school for most of my life. I love watching the WNBA. All things basketball are key for me. I also love people. It's no surprise the photo of me is with me talking and running my mouth because that's just who I am. I love art. So my apartment is covered with photography and paintings and things like that. But I also do work in technology as well. So in a little different of a role than Caroline, a lot of what I do is focused on bringing people together. So an event like you're experiencing today is part of what I do. So the Minnesota Technology Association is really an organization that helps drive technology and the tech community forward in Minnesota. So I'm responsible for conferences and small group gatherings and things like you're experiencing today. And it's really about bringing people together to connect, to learn, to share best practices, and to have some fun. So hopefully that's what you get today from us as well. Personally, for me, one of my personal values and things that I bring to work and in my personal life is the more active I am in non-workplaces, like the more I contribute in a workplace. So when I'm going to museums, when I'm going to movies, this is all pre-COVID, of course. When I'm seeing people and hearing from other people, like that's when I'm at my best. Professionally, that's when I was at my best in school, was like getting my brain going in a really different way. And that really shows up really well for me professionally. Last thing you know about me is I move quickly and I'm really active. So I walk really fast. Sometimes I talk really fast. I just kind of move at a really quick beat. And COVID has slowed me down a little bit, which has been fun, but definitely an adjustment. So I'm excited to be here with you all today. And hopefully you walk away with some good nuggets and we can continue connecting with you, especially if you want to work in technology. Caroline and I are the people for that. So would love to stay connected with folks. Awesome. So now we're going to dive into some content. You're probably thinking, why is there fried rice on the screen? So we wanted to kind of zoom in on what you're going to be experiencing over the next 2 days. So you're doing a Bright Ideas-a-thon, and we want to start in a place that's familiar and do an activity just to kind of get the cobwebs out. You've been at home all summer, all those things. So thinking of a bright idea is a muscle you're super familiar with. You do it literally every single day, even if it doesn't feel like you're coming up with a new bright idea. So I want everyone to just like pause and think back to those days where your parents aren't home or your guardians aren't home, or the sibling that usually cooks food isn't home, and there's no leftovers in the fridge and you have no access to going to get food, but you're starving. So I know I've experienced that. So what do? You go into the kitchen and you get creatively about what you can eat. For me, that's the whatever's in the fridge, fried rice. And sometimes it's like really regular things like chicken and vegetables. Other times those things aren't there. So I have to get really creative and I'll mix in like some breakfast sausage, or I'll throw in some kale instead of the regular vegetables that usually goes in a fried rice. But I have to put myself in a position to get out of my comfort zone of what I thought fried rice was and get a little creative. And for me, that meal always hits a little different when it's me having to come up with something new. And during this process, I realized what doesn't taste good, of course, but then I also realized what tastes really good. And that's a moment of like a bright idea. I'm solving my problem of hunger when I have nothing else in the house. So I do want y'all to use the chat feature really quickly. What's a meal that you've eaten when you had nothing pre-cooked and you had to come up with something new that you've never tried before? Everyone take a second, write in the chat of a meal you came up with when you didn't have any food at home that was already pre-made. I'm gonna pause until I start seeing some things coming through. If your thing is fried rice, that's okay too. But I'm curious to know what are those creative meals you've come up with? Cheese-Doritos, love it. What else? Omelet with hot dog bits. I've done that before too. We all have to get a little creative. What else? I'll wait for 2 more. Okay. So you improv. Okay, that's fair. What else? Flatbread was that actually sounds really good. Tacos with random things in the fridge. That is a classic meal. Okay, so we're all on the same page here. You got to just come up with something new. Another thing I want to zoom in on is COVID threw us all for a loop. We were bored in the house, and we're in the house bored, right? So we had to get creative about how we entertain ourselves. And for me, I decided I wanted to make a documentary about my family. And I combined videos from Christmases in the past and things that we've documented. And I made a video for me and my family because I missed them and I was really bored. And it was something great that we got to watch over Zoom together. And it was a bright idea. Like I just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to make a documentary of all the things that my family's experienced that I have captured already. So for me, it was like I saw a problem of I'm in the house in a way that I never was before, and I miss my family, and creating that documentary was a way to solve those two things. So I'm curious, what are the things you've done to keep yourself entertained during quarantine? Like what was your bright idea or an activity you wouldn't have done in the past that you did because of being locked in the house? Plant a garden, okay. What else? Sewing a dress. Wow, that's next level. Okay. What are other things? You learned how to make banana bread. I still have not learned how to do that. Knitting, cooking. Okay. Yoga. What instrument? I'm super curious. What instrument did you learn how to play? We'll wait for this and then we'll keep going. Drum roll. Guitar. Okay, awesome. So the point is we're always coming up with new ways to solve a problem and solve a challenge. So we're always in that bright idea mind frame, even when we don't realize it. Caroline, next slide. So now we're going to take that process of coming up with a new idea to solve a problem to the next level. And we're going to put y'all in the driver's seat to think through a few things. So I'm about to roll out an activity, so definitely pay attention for this part. We want you to think of a social issue, like something you care about in our local community or in the broader community. And we want you to think about what you want to solve for. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is we're going to assign you an object that already has a function in society, but you're going to think about how to repurpose that object and have it solve the problem that you want to solve. So that object can do anything but what it already does in society. Okay, so that's the two things to keep in mind. So I'm going to give you an example. So raise your hand or like show me an emotion if you have seen the little libraries in communities. So it's like a little box that stood up on a stand where you can like go in, grab a book if you want it, or you can put a book in there to give to someone else. Have folks seen those before? Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So this was the object I gave myself. And the social issue I decided I wanted to solve was increasing access to food in Minneapolis. So giving Minneapolis residents access to food at all times. So my thought was these little boxes in communities are so convenient because you can go in, take something out, and you can put something back in. What if we created a box very similar to this, but that had refrigeration capabilities? What if we added technology that's ran through the city to where food could be stored in there and it could preserve, and you could add vegetables, you could add meat, you can add food that people actually want to eat into these little boxes, and it would have the same mechanism of the lending library, but it would be refrigerated. So similar to how this mobile food cart is in a car, what if we applied that same technology to the lending library box? So that was my bright idea. I haven't thought of the technology to go with it yet, but the idea is what if we combine those two things into something new that would solve the problem of increasing access to food in Minneapolis. So this is what you're gonna do. Your objects are gonna be really different and you can pick a different social issue, but that's the concept of thinking through like a bright idea within a certain amount of time. So we're gonna go into this activity really soon, but before we do that, I just want to put it out there. We want you to get creative. Like, it does not have to be a normal idea. It does not have to be something that you have to figure out the technology for right now, but we want you to dream big, think critically, anything goes. The only thing you can't do is have it use the same function as what it does right now in society. So as you're thinking through these things, we want you to come up with a pitch. Like, how would the community use it? How would you sell it to people to buy into using that specific object? What would the features be? Who would the target audience be? What would version 2 look like? So you want version 1 to be kind of a prototype. How would you want to bump it up to the next level if you had unlimited funding and all the brain resources dedicated to helping you make this happen? So I'm going to pause for a second just to see if there's any questions about the concept of what you're going to be doing. Then we're going to roll out what your object is and break you out into rooms. Any questions about what you're going to do for the next 10 minutes? Or 8 minutes at this point? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jade, do we need to figure out how it's going to work? Or again, you just want us to just go straight to the end version of it?
Great question. You don't have to think about the mechanics of getting it to work. You just have to come up with the idea. So for example, I want a refrigerated enabled box that's in communities, right? I haven't come up with how to make that work, but I know what the idea is. So that's what you're trying to get to. Good question. Okay, maybe next slide. So each group is going to be assigned a specific object. So if you're in group 1, you're the shopping cart. If you're in group 2, you're the mirror. If you're in group 3, you're the bus. If you're in group 4, you're the water fountain. So you will see 1, 2, 3, or 4 in your breakout room, and know that the object is, it goes in order from shopping cart, mirror, bus, to water fountain. Should we break folks up? I don't know who has host capabilities, but if you want to split them off.
I can break everyone out.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 second. I have 5 breakout rooms. Is there one more object we can think of, or no?
Yes. Group 5 is also water fountain. Let's do that.
Okay.
4 and 5 are water fountain.
All right. There we go. Everyone is joining their rooms.
Except for us, I assume.
Except for us. We're not, unless you guys want to go to a room, I can send you guys to any of them.
No, I feel like we should workshop closing out time a little bit. What are your, do we have any wiggle room, Katie?
Yes, you guys still,
Okay.
you guys have till 9:30. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Do we have any wiggle room past 9:30? Could we have till 9:34?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Okay.
just
34,
team
Jane.
icebreakers after that. Yeah, feel free to go into it. It'll be totally good. It'll give me a few times because the mentors are supposed to be hopping on at 9:30, so then I
Okay.
can get them in their rooms.
Get them in.
Perfect. Awesome.
Ah, great job. I love it.
Part of me does want to go check in and see if there's questions.
Yeah, I can send you somewhere.
Sounds good. So,
Were you going to say something, Caroline?
yeah, I was just going to say real quick. Oh, it looks like someone's waiting.
Yeah.
Do I have host power now?
Yeah, I was like, how do you know?
Yeah. Could you hear the pings or no?
No.
Only I can hear those. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary. 1 second. I'm going to figure out which room you're in.
So I was going to say with the reflections, I think that can be a little bit bouncy too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And then, okay. Yeah, and then I'll dive into the ideating, or you'll do the idea to product. I might chime in there too, and then I'll take on the rest of it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, once like we got the chat going, it got a little chatty, which is good.
I got a little got chatty. That's funny.
Hey, nicely done, everybody. Yeah, we went after somebody who hadn't quite arrived yet, so that's who showed up. So it looks like you got her into her group, Katie.
I did.
Lovely, great.
Um,
Nice energy, everybody, to get started.
Yeah, they're active on the chat, which is good. You have a good group.
Right. Well, listen, I'm going to go into the background. I'll let you all kind of just do your thing.
Cool.
And Katie, if I'm not on and you need me, phone me, text me. Okay. But I'm delighted. I'm glad all of the young women that we thought were coming actually got here. That's the key.
yeah.
Have yourself a great day, okay?
Awesome. Good to see you again, Russell.
All right, good to see you too. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Katie, are y'all doing video at any point, or is it video option?
So I'm not super familiar with how they have their Zoom set up. So I think that in their breakout rooms they have video. For in here, I think you have to be a.
Yeah, I can clarify that just real quickly. We can record this session, so all this chatter is being recorded, and when we come time to actually, we can't get the breakout rooms, unfortunately. That capability isn't there, but
Yeah.
what we can do with all of this is we can edit out this piece.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
And or keep it in if you like. But we can but we can edit that out and then have just the keynote, the messages, all that other stuff
Cool.
Captured, which we will do. All right, take care, everybody.
See you later.
Yep.
Should we give them like another 4, 5? What do you think?
Yeah, I think 5 minutes sounds good. Can we give them a timer so that way they know?
Yeah, we can tell them. So what Katie can do, if you go into one of the breakout rooms, you can announce, or actually maybe you can send
You
an
can announce
announcement
from
now.
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't. You guys can. It would be worth saying 5 more minutes. When you're in breakout rooms for ACE, you see that message when I send it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
when
that
you
would be the way to go. Yep.
Okay. I just sent a message to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to do only like hear from 2 people and then have other people share via chat from a time perspective? Caroline, what's your preference?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Katie, are they seniors or juniors? What's demographic?
High school. So I think it's like probably
Okay.
the 12th grade.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they're aspiration students, so they're probably
Got it.
upper high school, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Are most of them in Minneapolis or St. Paul area?
They're kind of all over the cities, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but it's been fun. It's hard to get people during the summer, I feel like, the high school students.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Well, everyone too is doing sports practices. A lot of the teams weren't sure if they were going to be having practice or not.
Yeah, that surprises me that they're still practicing. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I am just starting to fall in love with sports, but I feel like let's just take a year.
A year off?
Yeah, like let's just take a year off. I don't think that I think in the grander scheme of things.
But think about this, some people's mental health like substantially rose from like sports coming back.
Tao gave me the evilest eye. He
say,
walked out, he's still staring at me.
Is it NBA for him? Is he happy NBA is back?
Football.
Yeah,
oh yeah, he's happy NBA is back, but football is this thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Looks like someone's waiting, Katie. No, I get that. I think I'm thinking more like
I'm sending the link to somebody.
I'm thinking more like the professional level. Like I'm not saying no to sports. I think I'm saying like, is there like, can this just be like a straight up practice year? Like we just say, this is a little bit more of like the all-star game type of situation.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's a nice to have, it's not a need. And it just feels like so many resources are going to sustaining people being able to play sports. And it's just like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think too, like when I've been watching basketball, it doesn't feel the same. Like they don't look as into it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's different when you have a crowd really amping you up.
Like what are you playing for without the people?
Yeah. It's like, have you seen the cardboard, like the digital?
Mm-hmm. Well, I only watch WNBA now, like actively. And they don't have the like fancy, like fake fan thing. Of course we don't.
Of course.
They don't have any of the same like frills at all. They don't even have like hairstylists, and yet there's like a built-in barbershop for the NBA.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's crazy. Their resources, it's out of the screen difference. Should we pull them back? And it takes a minute for them to come back. Sure. It may be worth hitting go now.
All right.
Okay.
They'll be back in 60 seconds.
Cool. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah, no problem.
Are you re-pulling up the, okay, cool. Mm-hmm.
Where should I start here?
You can go to the reflection slide, yeah. Or actually, no preference.
I feel like we should ask them in chat to tell us what
their ideas into,
and then ask for like 2 or 3 people to share their experience.
Okay.
And Katie, let us know once everyone is back in, because I have
Yes, I
limited.
think everyone is back in now. Yeah, it just.
All right, awesome. So in advance, I'm going to apologize that time was so short. I'm sure you could have talked about this for an hour at the very least. But we're curious, in the limited time that you had, what idea did your group come up with? So in the chat, use, right, like what was the object you were assigned and what did you transform that object into to solve a problem? And we'd love to hear from two groups, possibly, to talk a little bit more specifically about what your object is.
And if you want to talk, you can use the raise your hand feature as well and let us know that you'd like to talk.
What were ideas? Let's see it come through the chat. What did y'all come up with? Okay, mirror, improve availability of light, increase energy production and food production. Cool. The water fountain, Lodine tablet dispenser. And what's Lodine? Do I know what that is?
I think we're going to need them to share with us.
Oh. Okay, cool. That's really cool. Wow. So it's like filtered water from a water fountain. That's awesome. Okay, what are other ideas? I want to hear from shopping cart and bus. I haven't heard from those groups yet. Shopping cart, bus, are y'all out there?
Can we get a team member maybe to tell us if maybe you needed a little bit more time or what you came up with so far?
I think my group was group number 3. Were we given a mirror? Because I thought we were given a mirror. Or...
You were, so more than one group did mirror. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Yep, that's totally fine. Okay, grocery cart, make it a rest station inside the store and change the cart into a wheelchair. That's cool. Okay, awesome. So y'all came up with really cool stuff in minutes, which is great. Imagine if you had a full hour. I can only imagine. So let's talk a little bit about how you experienced that. Caroline, you want to go next slide? So let's hear from the water fountain group. How did you experience having to come up with an idea on the spot?
I will say, sorry, I'm going to give the stage to Mary here really quickly because they have their hand up.
Okay, perfect.
Our idea for the mirror is that when people look into it, it could give them positive reinforcement about things that they were going through. And so a lot of people have like body image issues, so it could help them through different things they feel about themselves. And so it's kind of like capabilities similar to, I'm not sure, I think this company that's in Minneapolis, but there's these watches that you wear that help people who have like certain disorders, like who's biting their nails and stuff. So it help people who have maybe like eating disorders or like really don't like the way that they look, and that's kind of a stigma they have against themselves.
Yeah, that's super cool. So you're applying like technology you already know has some of that capability to something else. And imagine like starting your day with affirmations being poured into you just by looking in the mirror. I would love that. I need y'all to make that happen. Awesome. So let's hear from one more group, either grocery cart or water fountain or bus. Someone raise their hand and just share a little bit more about your idea or what the process was like of having to ideate on the spot.
All right, Laura, it is. Thanks for raising your hand.
We spent most of our time just trying to figure out literally any way to use a water fountain other than just dispensing water. The iodine tablet thing came from a church trip that I was on in which we went hiking in the mountains, and we would take river water and put iodine tablets in it and then wait an hour and the water would be clean and safe to drink.
But I think it's, even though you started with water, like think about how many people don't have access to clean water, like, and especially people experiencing homelessness.
That's great. Like, instead of just dispensing water, it dispenses stuff that can clean your water when it's not clean. And that's there's people that would be super helpful for.
Right. Yep. I love it. That's awesome. So is it safe to say that time was crunched, but like if you just, when you hop into a zone and start ideating, like cool stuff comes from that. Is that a fair assumption to make?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Caroline, do you want to hop in?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking through, so Mary, the company you're mentioning, it's called Habitware, and the founder of that company, she created a product to address her own needs, right? She was having a challenge. It was particularly around, I think it was pulling eyebrows. I don't remember the technical name for that, but she created something because she needed it. And then it turns out that there was this whole entire sort of community, and that there was a taboo around talking about that experience. And so her product was really created. It's a very niche product, but then something that you think that only you're experiencing, it's like, well, it turns out actually millions of people are experiencing it, right? It's connected to stress. And even I think I've read recently, don't quote me on this, but that they're looking to at how they can use that same the product, which is just it's a bracelet, and it just basically is tracking where your hand is moving. But they were looking to see how they could use it to help address some of the current challenges that we're seeing within this COVID time. So I like the idea of addressing something that's based on a challenge that you're seeing, a problem that you're seeing, whether it's for you specifically. I love that idea of, having positive affirmations. And I would say, like, for me, once I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that would be amazing. But then also thinking about what are some challenges that are out there that you're hearing from other community members, or whether it's through a trip or something else, that you see there's an opportunity to help. So as folks were going through that process, Jade, maybe do you want to share a little bit with us about, one way that folks can think about going from idea to something that's tangible?
Yeah, and since we were talking about the mirror, I'm just going to run with that as the framework for talking about idea to product. So when you're thinking about, and I think part of what we want to name today is, as you're going about the world and you see an issue or you identify something you're experiencing, like write it down, document it. Like this morning, I could have used some affirmations, right? My voice was a little scratchy. Like I always am losing my voice because I'm talking a lot. And I didn't feel super confident coming into this. I could have used some affirmations. So in that moment, I can document it. How can I implement having affirmations built into my mornings every day? Okay, that would be me documenting it. The second thing I would do is start researching, what does that look like? Are there technologies that are already in place that provide affirmations for people? Okay, yes, I can listen to a podcast or I can listen to a specific playlist. But what about when I look in the mirror, how can I have affirmations poured into me? And I can start researching that. What are the technologies that are already built into mirrors? What are the technologies that are already built into other things to help affirm people? What's out there, right? So start researching and scanning. Is there anything out there that's kind of doing what I want to do? Are there pieces of what I want that are already in the world? Okay, so as you're gathering that research, you then go into prototype stage, right? So potentially buying a mirror and figuring out like what goes into a mirror, or buying a piece of technology or borrowing a piece of technology that has the components of affirmations or talking at people, maybe looking at an Alexa or looking at a Google Home, some of those things that already have smart technology built into it, and dissecting and looking into the components that you think you want and launching a prototype. That may involve reaching out to people in community, or people who know how to write code, or people who know how to build stuff, people who are carpenters. It may involve tapping other resources, but getting to that prototype stage is an important process for getting your idea out and fully seeing it through. Once you've gotten to the prototype stage, which may take a month, may take a year, either way, you're still working through the idea to product process. Once you get a working prototype, it does not have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be fully functional. You should get it in front of people, right? Because you don't want to build out this whole thing, spend 5 years building out the perfect talking mirror, and then by the time it's done, that technology is out of date. So you want to get it in front of people early so that you can see it, you can hear from them, they can react to it, and then you can keep iterating on that. So if you think about the first iPhone, I'm a little old, I own the first iPhone. If I think about what my first iPhone did versus what it does now, it's night and day different. But Apple didn't wait to make the 11 on their first try. They made the iPhone 1 and they kept iterating on it and making it better. Siri came about 5 years into the iPhone. Now the iPhone, you can open it with your face, right? So there's all these iterations that make it better, but they got that first prototype out. They got the phone out there and kept going from there. So document it. When you feel something, write it down. If you want to continue leaning into that feeling, research it. See what else is out there. Then once you're done researching, or you're even close to figuring out what's out there, launch a prototype. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then get it in front of people, and then keep iterating on that process. So that's a key framework I use in my day-to-day, even for small stuff. But as you're going about the world in your everyday, use that as you launch into bright ideas and creating new things for our world.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that too. I think one of the things that has been really enjoyable to hear from how folks did use those day-to-day things is that some of those are completely doable. So even talking about the mirror, there is an exercise mirror that's out there to use for exercising. So even thinking about other tools or products that are out there that you see a slightly different use for. Like with that example, there's a built-in live thing that all you would need to do is modify its usage for something that addresses a problem that you're seeing, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that too shortly, for how other companies are taking day-to-day things and just changing how they're used for a particular use case.
Awesome.
So I think one thing that's really important is that creativity and ideating is an exercise. It's a thing that you have to continue to do in order to get better at it, in order for it to become a little bit easier. So I would encourage you, regardless of whatever it is that you're doing, to always put yourself in a position where you have to think about things through a slightly more creative lens. And one thing to always keep in mind is that is that everything that you have right now in this moment is a solution to someone else's problem, right? So just think about that. Like, we're sitting here talking via this technology. This was once a problem that someone wanted to solve, and now here we are utilizing as the tool to stay connected and continue to communicate. And the thing that's really unique about all of you is that you have a different perspective around how the world is. And especially given this moment, this is such a unique experience for all of us. And it's only amplified by all the different perspectives that are out there, which includes yours. So your perspective matters, and the way that you're thinking about how you're using day-to-day items changes because the way that you view the challenges, the opportunities, the problems in the world are different. So again, anything that's out there right now doesn't have your lens on it. So think about, if your lens is also an indicator of millions of other people's lens, that's an opportunity for you and an opportunity for them to make their life better. And sometimes literally that new take on a current solution is the innovation. And we'll see that here in a moment. The other thing, of course, I've said this over and over again, and so has Jade, is that problems are really just opportunities, and that everything around you, again, is just a solution to a prior problem. So think about how you're building tomorrow's solution. The thing is that today's problems will have solutions. I think it's a matter of, like, are you going to be the person to present those? So I would urge you to really pursue some of those ideas that you have, regardless of how they might seem out there. And then the other thing I was going to say is that, it's really important for you to track down your ideas, like Jade was saying. And even as you're tracking them down, I'll go back to your fried rice example. If you keep a little recipe card saying, if I add this and this, like, yep, that works. Future note to self, don't add this and this because they have a really weird taste. Just keep a document of all of those things. It seems really mundane, and it seems like it might not even be helpful, but imagine if you had a notebook of all of your ideas and all the different ways that you're testing things out from last year through this year, and you just went and read back. I have an idea notebook, and actually some of my features and things that I add to our products and my users' products are based on this notebook that I've kept for such a long time. And to be fair, now it's like 5 different notebooks all over the place. But point being is that you're documenting those ideas, you're keeping track of it, and you can even sort of use it as an opportunity, again, to continue to exercise that creative part of your brain. And then by the end of the day, you cannot move a mountain alone. We have to all collaborate. We have to create communities. We have to partner with each other. Right now, you have an opportunity to be in a space with a bunch of other really amazing creative individuals, build community with them. This is a really cool opportunity to make some new relationships, some new friendships, to build upon old ones. And maybe some of these are going to be the folks that, you know, at the end of this summer or next year, you'll be working on a company idea with them or a product idea with them. So with that in mind, I'd love just if you all can drop in the notes, you know, how, or in the chat, how are you tracking your ideas? So just put in the chat on there. Let's give each other some, let's do some knowledge exchange and see if an idea isn't the best thing. Are you tracking it in other ways? Are you tracking it through, you know, the photos that you're taking or other things? Love to see that. Hopefully you all are chatting. I can't see. So I wanted to give you all a couple of examples to really cement what we just talked about. You know, one of the things that I think is really cool is just thinking about how a really simple aspect to an idea can make such a huge difference. So thinking about the stoplight, all it is just colors going from one to another, and it's universal signals around when to stop, when to get ready to stop, and when to go. And even though, you know, a version of this didn't include the yellow light, someone decided, well, actually we needed a yellow light to tell people that they needed to pause. And even other variations of this you've seen as you've gone up and down the streets is that all the different colors maybe have different shapes, right, to make it more accessible. So again, sometimes a new take is the innovation in and of itself. Another thing I wanted to mention here, you know, we like to give credit to our local companies. Target has this drive up feature. I'm sure some of you might be familiar with it, which is literally you place an order and then you drive up your car and they just put it in your car. Something that came up with a little bit ago, but you know, it's been something that's been a really great asset for them now with COVID, with with contactless delivery and being able to do some shopping in that way. Again, simplicity sometimes is key, but just because the solution is simple, just because all we need is for people to place an order and then drive up, doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of complexity in making sure that that process is very, very smooth. So there's a good amount of work, time, energy, and effort that goes into making some of these solutions, even as simple as that may seem. But it started off with someone saying like, hey, some of our users, especially our working professional mothers, like they need to be able to, or parents and guardians, they need to be able to just stop by, grab what they need and keep it moving rather than getting kids out of cars and all of those things that might make the process take a little bit longer. And then of course, you know, I think it's always cool for me to think about how can we make our current solutions to different problems more inclusive, right? And so Hack the Gap is one example of that. And for us, it was about creating a hackathon experience for women, because we know that women are disproportionately, they're not as well represented within the tech sectors. And one of the key things around that is just having a space where you can learn and grow your tech skills without necessarily feeling some of the challenges that might come being in a space that's predominantly white and male. And so Hack the Gap was created to help address that. We've seen other companies do that locally. We've seen The Coven, which created an all-women, non-binary people workplace. And that's been doing, that's a completely new way of doing the same old thing, right? But again, the solution might seem really simple and straightforward, but the execution is really where all the work is. So an idea is nothing without the execution. An idea is not really much without the work being put behind it. And that's what I would encourage all of you to do. You know, again, track all those things that you're thinking through, be creative in how you see potential solutions, take a look and see what else is out there that's helping address a similar version of what it is that you're doing. And remember that your perspective is the innovation in what you're building.
I think the only other thing I'll add is the quicker you get an idea out, the more space you have in your brain to come up with something new, right? So not every idea you have is going to be brilliant. You would be not human if every idea you had was brilliant. But the quicker you get something silly or not worth pursuing out of your head and on the paper or into someone else's world or saying it out loud to yourself, the more space you have in that brain to come up with something new. So the phrase I always use is get it out. Always get your ideas out so you can create space for other things to circulate.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's all. Katie, do you want to jump back in?
Yes, thank you guys so much. This was so great. I think we're gonna jump right into our next presentation. Angie, I don't know if you're ready. we're going to, I will make you a host real quick so you can share your screen. But yeah, thank you so much, Jade and Caroline. That was so awesome. I feel like I need to keep track of my ideas better now. This was really great. What a great way to kick off the event. So yeah, thank you guys so much. You're free to stick on for the next presentation if you want.
Awesome. I'm gonna hop off, but it was good to meet you all. Thanks for indulging on the weird activities and sharing your perspective via chat. It was good to connect with you this morning.
Yes,
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, that was so great. But yeah, our next speaker is Angie. She's going to be talking about brainstorming today, so I'm super excited to have her here. Thank you so much, Angie. And I'll let you take it. Let's see.
Hey, guys.
Oh, perfect. Now we can hear you. Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Hi, ladies. Hi, everybody. Hi, team. So am I in presentation mode? Can you just see a full screen with my slide deck, or can you see my notes?
No, I can see just your brainstorming slide.
Cool. Well, hi, everybody. I don't really know how to follow that. Caroline and Jade were amazing. They're super, like, energetic, and everything they said, I agree, 100%. Julie had asked me to come and talk to you guys about brainstorming. You might want to know why. I'll give you a quick background. Although my title says I'm the program manager of operations at a company called ServiceNow, in my part-time world, I also work for a company called the Idea Greenhouse. So I've been what they call a consumer visionary for almost 20 years. And they bring, what we do in that role is they get a customer, and it can be all kinds of customers. It can be from a city to Dairy Queen to, I don't know. I've worked on so many projects over the years. But they bring 12 of us together in a room, and we do things like what you guys just did with the water fountain, the mirror, and the grocery cart. We do that with a product. So I'm not allowed to talk about certain ones I had to sign NDAs on, but I can tell you one of the ones I did work on came from a brainstorming session, much like the one you guys just did, that exercise. We did a whole day of exercises and talking and talking and talking. And I'm proud to say that I am one of the instigators of the mini blizzard. Cool, right? We had to share stories, and we were working for Dairy Queen, coming up with ideas. And I actually live 1 block away from Dairy Queen. And so I said to everybody, I go, I am always on a diet. I've lived by Dairy Queen for 6 years, and I've maybe been there twice. If you made something smaller that people like me could go in and feel like they're getting a little treat, but they're not killing their diet plan. And like within, I'm going to say 8 months of our session with Dairy Queen, there was a mini blizzard. So your ideas, they're all cool. And don't be afraid to say anything. So I'm going to jump right into this slides, and we're going to talk about coming up with how brainstorming works, the way Six Sigma says brainstorming works, and then I got a little treat for you guys. So these are the 4 basic rules of brainstorming. Think freely. So again, you wouldn't have come up with the iodine tablets in the water fountain if you weren't just letting your brains go, right? So just truly let yourself go. Think nothing's off limits, okay? And no judgments. That's super, super important. You can't judge yourself, so don't sit there and go, well, that's a really stupid idea. I'm not going to tell anybody because that's just too embarrassing. Don't do that. Instead, say to yourself, say it all. Just, as I like to tell my kids, vomit at the mouth. You know, just, that sounds really gross, but just vomit those ideas up, because in there's going to be one really great one that somebody else can do the next step, which is build on. So here's an example. You might be thinking right now, oh man, I want a cup of coffee. Ooh, a latte would be good. Maybe a cappuccino. Oh, I need some caffeine. Oh, I need caffeine because I should be listening to what that lady's talking about right now. Don't judge yourself. you just had a great idea. You got yourself back to, I should be listening to what that lady's talking about right now. And then somebody, if you were saying this out loud to somebody sitting next to you, they might go, yeah, listening. What can we do with listening? Oh, that's how they created that. Let's take and create something where I can listen to my partner talk to me on Zoom and also listen to what the speaker's saying. You could come up with an idea on that. And the more ideas, the better, because like, I think it was Jade just said, put them all out there, because not everything's going to be a great idea, but the more you put out there, the likelihood that you're going to find that golden nugget, that perfect idea. So these are the 4 basic rules that everybody's going to tell you about brainstorming. But here's what Tina Fey says, and I like Tina Fey. I like her because, you know, Mean Girls, what's not to like, right? She has the 4 rules of improv. And the first rule is agree to say yes. If you say no, you shut yourself down. When you say no to somebody or somebody says no to you, the communication gets defensive. So say yes. So inside of your group, when you're talking to each other, say yes, yes, sure, yes, why not? Be open. And also say yes and. So what she's trying to get to there is that building technique, that how do we help each other get to the next level of thinking about something? So say yes and say, and what can we add to it? Make statements and be bold. There's nothing that'll turn your idea down if you sit there and go, well, I don't know, but I was thinking about maybe we could. No, be bold. Say, I want a coffee. You know, whatever it is you want to say it, be bold. Because when you're bold and you're confident and you're comfortable, so are the people around you. And when you're all feeling okay with that, instead of shy and not talking to one another, you can start getting into that groove that the Caroline and Jade were just talking about, that brainstorming, clicking ideas. And there are no mistakes. There's, again, Jade just said this, there's only opportunities. So here's some ideation tools. The ladies gave you a bunch of them. One of them is called in and out listening. And I just talked about that a little bit, but in and out listening, you don't have to pay attention 100% of the time. When you're doing ideas, or when you're like, even when you're listening to a keynote or to someone like me, you don't have to pay attention 100% of the time. I know we've taught you to do that in school. We said to you, pay attention 100% of the time and take really great notes. Don't. Just throw that out the window. Don't even do that when you go to college. The thing to do is in and out listening, because somebody's always listening in a room, and you can always share with each other after, right? So in and out listening is, say you hear me talking and I say something that makes you go, popsicle, popsicle. Write it down really quick. Stop listening, write down popsicle. That might come back to you later as a really great idea, or a really great nugget of something you can build on. But in and out listening is something you haven't been naturally taught to do through education. You've been taught to pay 100% attention, write down as much as you can about what that person's saying. Don't think about what's thinking on in your brain. You just listen right now. Well, I want you to stop doing that. Instead, let your brain go, because I might be saying words that you get, see the next, not the doodle, but the word association, where you get a word association click on in your head, write it down and doodle, doodle, doodle. When you're come up with an idea and it makes you think of a word or a picture or something, doodle it down in your notebook, because that's gonna help you later share your doodles and your ideas and your in and out listening, you know. And if you miss something in a lecture, and goes beyond what you guys are working on with your hackathon, but in like college, if you miss something, there's always somebody in the room that didn't, and you can send them a text and say, you know, to your team, go, hello, did anybody catch what the person was saying? Because I zoned out at, and somebody did. If you get stuck, there's some cool games you can play. I like the grocery store game. It goes like this. So you're stuck and you guys are working on something. So let's pick the water fountain. So you got stuck on the water fountain. So you play the grocery store game and it gets your mind off the water fountain. So I went to the store and I bought an apple. And then the next person says, I went to the store, I bought an apple and a banana. The next person goes, I went to the store, I bought an apple, a banana, and a cantaloupe. So you do the grocery store and you do ABC alphabet. By the time you get even halfway through, you're not focused on the water fountain anymore, and you might think of something in there to get you back playing in that brain of creating ideas about the water fountain. Another one that we use at the Idea Greenhouse that I just love is called In Another World. And the way In Another World works is, so you have your water fountain exercise. You guys were trying to come up with something for a water fountain. So In Another World goes like this. In another world. So in the world of underwater diving, how would I use a water fountain? And you just go crazy, make up goofy stuff. So at SpongeBob, how does SpongeBob use a water fountain? I don't know. Let's talk about SpongeBob. You know, you use In Another World to come up with ideas. And then another game that we used at the Idea Greenhouse is pick 3 things and find 3 new ways to use it. So if you guys are stuck on ideating, look around and go, okay, pick 3 things. And so for me, it'd be a chapstick, my earbuds, and my cell phone. And okay, we've got 3 things. And then go around the room and go, give me 3 new ways to use chapstick. Okay, I'm going to use chapstick as a way to call for help. I'm in a car and I'm being held I'm being held for ransom in a car, driving down the road. So I write help on the window. There, that's a new way to use chapstick. How am I going to use my cell phone as a new way to use a cell phone? Well, I actually like to use my cell phone as a flashlight all the time because when we're up north, I don't want to step on a snake. So that's how I use my cell phone. AirPod thing. This one's going to be trickier for me because, I charge my earbuds. Oh, hello. I charge my phone. I'm trying to think of something really quick. I don't want to get stuck here. Oh, I could use it to skip it across the water and play a game. Skip stones, like you're skipping stones across the water. Now, that would be a very expensive and dumb thing to do, but I could do that. Anyway, so you guys have fun today. That's all I have.